Hey, welcome to Super Social Club. I'm Jeremy.
This is Whiskey in the Six. I'm Rob.
Welcome to the Whiskey Rant podcast.
It's a little crusty.
It's frustrating.
And it's going to be a little bit of a rant.
I don't understand it. I don't know why.
Some sort of injustice.
Anyway, end rant.
Hello and welcome back to the Whiskey Rant podcast. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Rob.
And tonight we are joined by a very special guest, well known in the Canadian whiskey world, Dr. Don Livermore. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys. It's good to be on the show. It's been a long time coming, Jeremy and Rob.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on. And you've sent us something incredibly special and given us the pleasure of trying it here. This is a Wiser's product matured in a Mizunara cask.
Mizunara cask, which are not easy to come by from my understanding of Mizunara. So,
Don, do you want to tell us kind of what all went into this release?
Yeah, this is a release. So it's one of these things I've had aspirations for a number of years, was to look at product in the J.P. Wiser's lineup of whiskeys being aged in a Mizunara cask. So an opportunity landed in my lap where a barrel producer or a cask producer of ours had mentioned they had 9 casks available for purchase of Mizunara. So I jumped all over it. The casks are brand new virgin Mizunara casks. So they were constructed by this company where they secured the wood. They charred the cask and we shipped it to us. And I took a 25-year-old J.P. Wiser's, both the rye and the light whiskey that would go into the J.P. Wiser's franchise of whiskey, aged 2 barrels of the rye and 7 barrels of the light whiskey, and let it sit for 2 years. As I did worked on when I did my PhD, I do realize the majority of the flavors of that comes from the barrel, 90% of it will come out in the first 200 days. So this did sit a little bit longer than that, 2 years. So you're certainly getting the full effect of what a Mizunara cask will certainly provide to whiskey. Probably not common in the Canadian whiskey world. When developing this whiskey, certainly you get the feel that beautiful sandalwood note that's very distinctive in the whiskey in itself, and it is the most expensive whiskey we've ever released under the Wiser's name, just because of the rarity and the issues of actually trying to find Mizunara. But it turned out beautifully. It's one of the things I did sway back and forth on when designing this whiskey, is looking at it at various strengths. But at the end of the day, I think the right thing to do was we made this as a cask strength blend, and I think the mature whiskey drinker that looks at this whiskey certainly understands how whiskey's made, and I think it was the right thing to do, and let the consumer control the water or the ice or however they enjoy the product. And I think it turned out quite wonderful, even at the 62.1%.
absolutely.
Just really quickly want to tell you about BSW for the month of November. You can get this Speyburn 18 natural color unchill filtered 46% for around $130 with my promo code 15 from Whiskey in the Six. I'll leave it in the link below. You can also get on sale right now this Ardmore 27-year-old from Gordon MacPhail for around $250. So it's an absolute steal on a 27-year-old. That's 46% ABV, unchill filter, no added color, all those things that Gordon MacPhail always does. And you can also get this Glenallachie 15 on sale right now. Head over to BSW. Anything not on sale, you can use my promo code 15 from Whiskey in the Six.
So the light whiskey that went into here, was that a majority corn blend?
Corn. When you're making light whiskey, regardless of where you make it across Canada, some producers will use rye, some will use corn. They generally use the most economical grain in the region. I can make light whiskey from corn, rye, wheat, or barley, and you won't be able to tell the difference. That's just the nature of the distillation process. So for us at a Hiram Walker distillery, we would use corn in the product. So it's certainly, when you're making light whiskey, it's the barrel that shines, not so much the grain, right? So in the case of this, you certainly want the barrel shining, and I'm hopefully you're getting that as you're consuming it on your end.
Absolutely, yeah. No, you can definitely get the Mizunara cask. It's nothing like I've ever tried from Wiser's before.
For sure.
Um,
Well, it's been nothing made like Weiser's before.
exactly.
So I'm
Well,
glad you said that, Rock.
yeah, yeah,
It
and
should be. It should be.
the previous the liquid previous to this was in what would you say a refill bourbon cask or
Used Canadian whiskey cask. So one the casks have been used multiple times.
okay.
I did not put a once used bourbon cask into this recipe. Um, this is about Mizunara shining, not bourbon.
Okay.
Really, at the end of the day, that's what we wanted to do. The other thing I say, the amount of base whiskey to rye is the same formulation that I use in the Wiser's 10 year. So I wanted to ladder up for those consumers uh, to recognize Wiser's as its own distinct house style. And I'm tailor making the way we distill the rye and the amount of rye that we put into this to be able to line up with those kind of drinkers.
Obviously, you've used a lot of different casks and maturation process over your career. Is this like a bucket list for you? Is this a check mark? Is this the first time you've used Mizunara cask before? And what's so
Yeah,
unique
Rob,
about this?
in a roundabout way, yes. I have used the inserts in it for the JP Weiser's 13 year. We used it with the Japanese oak. I don't know if you guys had an opportunity to try that one a couple of years ago or not, but we had a producer in the US that we shipped some Canadian whiskey casks to, shipped them back to them. They popped the top off the cask and relined the inside of it with Japanese oak. So I've done it that way. So certainly a lot more economical to it. I think that whiskey was very affordably priced. I think it was like $55 or something, and it was a one-off release. It actually flew off the shelves. I think people understood the character to it, but with this, with the whole entire cask made from Mizunara oak and a virgin or first time use cask, certainly I think it's one of a kind. I think you see a lot of Mizunara whiskeys out there that are second, third fill used, or they'll use inserts like I did with the previous release, or chips or things of that matter. This is truly uh, manufactured wholly as a Mizunara, and that's the price point.
What was the total number of bottles produced for this?
Just about 1,000 bottles. That was it.
So
Uh,
not all six casks were used in this.
I left four behind, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with those exactly. Whether I'll use them in a blend down the road, recreate the same thing again, and make it a little bit more rare. Not sure. The way this has been going, I know the LCBO only took 48 bottles, and I'm not sure if there's much on the shelf or any at all. To be honest with you, so I think that was a good sign that people are very curious about the premium, ultra premium side of Canadian whiskey. I think that's a very good sign, Rob. They are going to be released out into BC and Alberta, but that's been delayed because of the strike that was out in BC. Not sure if you're aware there was a strike, but there was with the BCLS. But there'll be some coming there, and I heard today it's probably February. We were hoping to get it into OND, but we'll see some bottles there. If your audience is looking for bottles, the really the only place I know at the moment is just go to jpwisers.com and just order it from our website. But the caveat is we only ship to Ontario addresses only. So I don't know if your audience is Ontario or a little bit larger, but that'd be the only ways to acquire a bottle.
Yeah, I would think. I mean, the people that consume our Canadian content are across Canada and probably some Americans as well. Um,
Lots of Ontario people because they're always complaining the LCBO doesn't have what they want. So
yeah, there is that.
Yeah.
people
If,
here
if you're looking at $600 for a bottle of whiskey, the ordering it from the distillery and the little bit of the shipping costs, that's not gonna be any break the bank. Let's put it that way. So
For sure.
it's worthwhile if you're a whiskey collector and you're into that price point. It's certainly, I think, one worth picking up. Like I said, it's been surprisingly how fast people have been purchasing bottles. It's a good sign for Wisers and a good sign for Canadian whiskey. To go honest with you, seeing ultra premium releases.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for those who don't know, maybe talk a little bit more about why Mizunara is so rare and so expensive. Obviously, it's Japanese wood. It's aged extremely a lot, huge amount of time before they cut it down. So what is it about this wood that is so sought after?
I think the Ooskophile, I call them Ooskophiles or whiskey lovers. I made up that word. There is no word for whiskey lover out there, to be honest with you. So I made one up, Ooskabetha. So I think an Ooskophile is a natural thing. But the Ooskophiles, I think, understand and has been educated by our Scotch and Irish whiskey cousins, the rarity of this cask. In terms of growing a tree, at least the American oak, you at least have to get it to 100 years old before it's 20 inch of girth. And they need to be at least 20 inch of girth before you can even construct a barrel. With my understanding of the Mizunara oak, it takes even longer to get them to be older, to be able to construct it. And I understand they're not this straight tree either. They're very knotty and wrinkled kind of tree. So to even make barrels from them ends up being a rarity as well. The third thing with it is if you think about Japan, what happened there 80 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're now talking the in terms of the number of wood trees available for casks to be made. So add all those things in, that where it becomes the rarity of it all. So there ends up being an auction to acquire this wood, and the highest bidder gets the wood, and then hence the price goes up. For this was 20 times the cost of a normal American oak cask.
Yeah.
So that's what you're paying for this type of cask. So that's why you don't see a lot of it, especially in virgin. To see a virgin oak version of this, I think it's quite rare. You guys know more of the brands than me, probably. There's some people out there have already done this, but I'm not even sure if anyone in Canada has quite done this with Canadian whiskey.
Not
I
that
don't
I'm
think
aware
so.
of.
No, I don't think Canadian whiskey brands have used Mizunara just yet. So this, I was gonna say, this is probably, that combination of Canadian profile. Like when I think Canadian whiskey, I think of the corn heavy profile, that sweetness, and then combined with that, like you mentioned earlier, the sandalwood and that you can really taste the Mizunara, which I think brings this in a league above many of the other releases in this profile.
Yeah,
Good.
you get a lot of spice
Yeah.
coming out of this. Like
Yeah,
the Mizunara cask that we've had before, like Scotch whiskey matured in it, and even Japanese whiskey matured in it. The
Yeah.
spice is like really, really nice.
Yeah.
I actually get
yeah,
this like Cadbury cream egg kind of note, not
Yeah.
chocolate, but the actual like creaminess, like vanilla
The cream
cream,
part, like
right? Just
yeah.
the oaky,
yeah.
creamy part of
I,
it.
I'm looking at my tasting notes here. Rob Fig was one I put on it. Plum almond. I thought there was an almond note to it when I look at it. Certainly sandalwood is one that comes to the forefront. I thought I had an interesting when I'm looking at my notes and coming back and tasting it and enjoying it with you guys at the moment. I had a black tea moment with it and honey. And then I just find the finish on it was a cinnamon stick, one of those shaved cinnamon sticks.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think it just kind of sits on the back of my tongue when I'm having that. And who doesn't enjoy a nice cinnamon stick? I'm not quite sure if it's a red hot cinnamon heart, but it's more the stick you'd kind of put in that hot chocolate kind of or
Yeah. Yeah,
apple
I think,
cinnamon kind
Apple
of thing.
cider.
yeah.
Yeah, hot apple cider
Yeah,
with cinnamon stick for sure.
yeah, I kind of get that on it. And funny when you mentioned chocolate, one of the things I like to do is nose a glass when it's empty. I call it empty glass.
Yeah.
And I put the caramelized chocolate. It's funny
Yeah.
you're getting it on the nose as you're smelling it there, but that was my comment on the empty glass. Is I picked up the same chocolate notes that you mentioned, Rob. That certainly comes on that. I mean, I've tasted far more complex whiskeys, but I think this one, if you really want it, I think it's a nice version of what Wiser's brings to the table, and then what Mizunara Oak truly does to a whiskey. I think it works well with Canadian whiskey. I think it helps shine what the potential of this type of wood can do.
Yeah, I mean, the ABV is perfect. It doesn't drink hot, I wouldn't say at all. Um, nice.
Yeah, I was worried about that with the when I put it at 62.1, and I got kind of had bring myself back in and say, well, who's the drinker that's drinking this? And I think if the drinker that drinks this understands whiskey, let them control the water. He's kind of what my feeling was that I think that's what they want to do. So it really is right from the cask. But for our rye, we put it in a way at 58%. And for our light whiskey, we put away at 76%. So after 27 years, I gotta think the light whiskey part probably was sitting around 65%, and I gotta think the rye whiskey is probably sitting in low 50s. So hence why it landed at 62 on the blend. Yeah. So that's why I don't like saying cask strength whiskey when it comes to this, because it is a cask strength blend. Like most cask strength whiskeys out there are usually distilled from the same batch, the same lot, the same way. So it always ends up in the barrel with the same proof. So it's a cask strength. Whereas Canadian whiskey, we put them away at different strengths and different grains, right? So when you kind of put it all together, it's that's why I like using that word. I don't know if there's such a word as cask strength blend or a category, but that's kind of the best way to describe it, I find.
Yeah. Nice, like roasted nuts and honey, like
Yeah, absolutely.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very
honey's
impactful finish. The finish lasts forever. It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I have to put that in my tasting notes too, is length of finish.
Yeah.
Some people say, is that the length to finish the whiskey? So no. I said a minute and a half. I could still kind of taste it
Oh
a
yeah.
minute and a half later. I'm not sure if you guys have the same experience, but I don't dwell on tasting notes too often because it is a personal thing. It really is a personal thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one you could taste tomorrow. Wake up and
Probably,
you're like,
yeah.
oh yeah, Mizunara cask,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I like that. It
I think
reminds there's a note in it that reminds me of a specific part of a hotel I stayed at in Bahamas. It was literally called Rosewood, and that's kind of like the vibe I get. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, sometimes I say it's got that antique furniture wood taste to it, but I don't think this one. It's more that fresh. It's more fresh to me, right? Than
Yeah.
antique wood. But it's a gorgeous whiskey, and I'm very pleased in the reception of it. As in the Canadian whiskey producer or Canadian whiskey category, to start asking someone to pay $600 for a Canadian whiskey. I don't know if we would have said that 10 years ago, Jeremy, Rob,
Yeah.
and it was probably unheard of even to break the $100 barrier for Canadian whiskey 10 years ago. So it's kind of cool to see. And I see my competitors doing it too. They're pricing some of their whiskeys in that price as well. So we're finally, I think, getting on a global stage. It's taken some time, but I think it's kind of cool to see.
Yeah, I mean this price point, if this was a Scotch whiskey at 27 years old at cask strength in Mizunara, you're looking at least double the price, if not triple,
Yeah, probably.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
27 years old, Mizunara cask for sure.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah,
2 years in the Mizunara. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and now this is virgin Mizunara, so those could be used barrels too, or
Yeah.
who knows exactly what's been going on, or totally 100% Mizunara, which this is.
Yeah.
I mean, there's things like that happen in the blended Scotch world as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a good time for JP Weisers, and with me, I'm always innovative, always looking at the next thing. And as you mentioned, Rob, this on my wish list? Yes, and I got and others. I got things on the wish list that hopefully we'll see that come into JP Weisers or Lot 40, certainly in the near future.
Yeah, can you tease us with anything coming up in the portfolio, whether it's Wisers or Lot 40 or anything like that that's on the horizon?
The one that I would say to your audience to pick up is I know you don't have it in front of you at the moment, but this is the JP Weiser's Legacy. It's in the LCB only release. We couldn't even sell it at our own company store. It was the agreement with the LCBO that they wanted a rare release. And Legacy is a brand that we discontinued in about 2016. So the last time we made it was around that price. And Legacy was a brand that was made for a number of years um, where people would buy it, but they would just have it on a special occasion. So the volume wasn't large, and then largely got discontinued. But when I do podcasts with you, like you guys, or master classes around this nation, they say, when are you bringing legacy back? When are you bringing legacy back? So the LCBO approached me about a little over a year ago. I said, can you do a rare release just for us? And I said, sure, because it's perfect timing. Because JP Weiser, the person, on October 4th, turned 200 years of age.
Oh, wow. Nice.
So I said legacy is one that people always ask me for, and I'd like to bring it back. And they brought it back, and I made it to the same recipe, and it's in celebration to the 200th birthday of JP Weiser. I did one change though to the original legacy on it, so it is a corn and rye, as Weiser's truly is. This one has a good chunk of rye content into it, more so than the 10-year. At the rye portion, I aged in port.
Oh, cool.
So
Nice.
it's a mix of tawny and ruby port casks that went into the rye portion to the blend, and the initial reaction is this thing sold out of liquor stores across Ontario in a hurry, and they've now pulled every bottle through, and what's out there is left. That's it. They don't see this being lasting past Christmas. Which was a little bit of a shocker for us. We thought it'd be on the shelves like six to 12 months. But I'm not even sure if this thing's going to last 3 months, to be honest with you. And the thing about it is it's $54.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Legacy for $54. I mean, my goodness. I mean, it's a 10, 11-year-old in the blend. We don't age state the whiskey, but it is a 10 and 11-year-old. And the whiskey is just gorgeous. It's one of my favorite whiskeys, to be honest with you. I've personally bought probably eight to 10 bottles myself because I know it's not coming back.
Yeah.
You know,
I remember when I started Whiskey in the Six back in 2015, I used to drink the Legacy regularly.
Yeah.
Pre Whiskey in the Six, all the time I used to drink the Legacy and I loved it back then. And I think it was $50 back then.
It was Legacy and Red Letter were the two that the whiskey enthusiasts
Yeah.
always go for, right? Red Letter made a comeback, and now Legacy is coming back too. So that's
Red Letters does extraordinarily well too. We only sell that at our company store, but I've changed the Red Letter a bit since you guys originally saw it. Originally, it was a 10-year-old whiskey. I've now bumped it up to a 20. So it is a 20-year-old whiskey, and it's made the same recipe like I did back in the day, but I've just increased the age in it, and it's only sold at. And then people just every time somebody visits us at the brand center, that bottle surprisingly does very well here. And then the Legacy, when we reintroduced that, is the people just snapped up the bottles so quick. Maybe there'll probably be a natural slowing, but the people that wanted it. So it's good to see the following with JP Weiser's. And some of the cool things that we've done here. Like I said, I would have never dreamed of in 2016 making Legacy with rye and a port cask, but these are some of the things that I've worked on over the last number of years as the master blender.
One thing I really enjoyed with what you guys have been doing in the past with Lot 40 is you released that 11-year-old, that 12-year-old, and then you released a single cask of the 18-year-old. Do you guys plan on bringing back any single cask releases for the Lot 40?
The potential's there. I've got so many variants now of Lot 40 and these different type of casks that when people come to my blending 101s, I throw them on the table and I kind of get a giddy watching what people will gravitate towards. And I got so many options now, Lot 40 and these different types of cask variants that are now being ultra aged, that it's hard to choose.
Yeah.
It's hard to pick, and I see people geeking out and said, "I've never seen a whiskey aged in this type of cask, or I've never seen a rye whiskey that's been pot distilled in this type of cask, or I've never seen rye malts in this." Like the combinations I put together, like it's 140 bottles of stuff I put out there. That's the thing with Canadian whiskey; it's very innovative. If you allow it to be very innovative, I mean, we ferment corn separately, rye separately, barley separately, wheat separately, distill it separately, we age it separately, and they can put it together at the end. So if I look at the types of grains or types of distillations or types of casks that are available, the combinations can be endless.
Yeah.
The painter's palette can be quite extraordinary in terms of what we can do, and we can adapt to what the consumer's looking for. I know what's going on with bourbon in Ontario and in this nation only. but we've reacted very quickly in terms of hitting flavor profiles just by the nature how we can distill and ferment.
Yeah, it
It's
gives you a lot more option,
yeah.
like
The
post
best way
maturation, right?
the best way to describe it is this: if you look at bourbon, put the corn together, the rye together, the malt together, the wheat together, you distill it together, it goes over in a still, and you put in a cask, and voila, that's what you got.
Yeah.
And when we separate everything and distill separate, and I mean we wait to the very last minute to put together, I can be adaptive.
Mhm.
The analogy I like to use is a paint can. You guys are handy guys. You paint things. Go to Home Depot, take down the white can, you put in your ink, you shake it up, got your color you're looking for. That's Canadian whiskey. Bourbon would be you'd have to have all the color options on the shelf. Once you put
Yeah.
the ink in the can, you're done.
Yeah.
Here, blending is beautiful.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Blending is beautiful. And what I like about whiskey, and I think if that's the attractiveness to me when I pick up a whiskey and taste it, I'm looking for balance. I imagine a graph. I want a whiskey to tell me a story. Along the x-axis is time, along the y-axis is intensity, and I want the whiskey to come out. It gives me this flavor, and then this flavor, and then this flavor, and then this flavor. It's not about intensity for me. It's about the story the whiskey tells. And I think that's the powerful in blended whiskey. You can make the whiskey tell a story and just stretch it out like an accordion. Make sure you get all the notes. And I think that's the powerful. And people look at you got light based whiskey, yeah, but it's a lot of times I'll say, yeah, here's a rye, and you can actually stretch out the flavors and have the experience just extraordinary. That's what I like about Legacy. That's what I like about the Mizunara oak. We've stretched out the flavors, and you can pick them off one by one. Here's the honey. Here's the tea. Here's the sandalwood. Here's the almond. Here's the chocolate. I think that's what makes Canadian whiskey the best whiskey category in the world.
Right.
I drink the Kool-Aid, but it is. If anyone in the audience is really into whiskey, I really suggest follow me, CDN Whiskey Doc. I'm on Instagram, X, and on LinkedIn, and I announce my blending 101s. And I for $100, you come here, you can pick out whatever you want. You can make your own whiskey.
That's
Yeah.
really
It's a
cool.
lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Canadian whiskey definitely has the most potential, I would say, for sure. You can do so much with it. And then what's happening across Canada with just, rye distilleries opening up and then single malt distilleries opening up and then the traditional blending styles continuing to flourish.
And we grow the best grain in the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that too.
So, right?
We got to go out there and tell our story. I mean, we got a rich history. If you get a chance for me to talk about the history of Canadian whiskey, it's so fascinating. This nation was built off the backs of whiskey producers.
Yeah.
We were built on whiskey. Really, we were. I mean, we paid the tax dollars in Canada for 50 years.
Right.
50 years before we had an income tax in Canada, Canadian whiskey distillers were paying the tax. We were built off the backs of the whiskey producers, and we continue to be important today. Really continue to be important today, and in terms of jobs and what we do to the local region. I mean, like we bring in 100,000 metric tons of grain a year and it all comes within 60 miles of here.
Yep.
And then we sell back our dry grains back into the area. So, I mean, it is a real full circle with agriculture and with the people. We got some of the most talented people in the world. Yeah, I don't know whether we got to stop apologizing. I mean, we really got to shout out the good things and the wonderful things we do in the whiskey world here in Canada.
Well, I'm not sure if you're aware, but we have been doing a Canadian whiskey tournament on the Whiskey Rant.
Oh, nice.
We're in the
Nice.
final category, which we'll probably try to squeeze in an episode right after we sign off here. And the final category has the Wiser's 42 in it because it's the blended category, the category that can be any grain. So good luck to you in that. Hopefully,
Well, so 42, when you have a chance to taste it, not to bias you on your final tasting year, but it's the same recipe that I used in the 10 year. So I want to create the house style of Wiser. So again, laddering it up to the 42 year. And the 42 year, I put the strength. What's the strength at? It's I got so many whiskeys on the brain. You're looking at the bottle there.
52.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I put it at 52, because it's a tribute to JP Weiser. It's 104 proof, 10-4. His birthday is October 4th.
Oh, cool.
So that's why I landed at 52%. And the other thing is I've aged that in used Canadian whiskey casks. There's some bourbon, so there's recharge casks and then there's Speyside malt casks. So I acquired a number of casks years ago from Chivas, is our sister company that I work with, and they sent me over some of their single malt Scotch casks. So it would have been a combination of Glenlivet, Aberlour, and I just finished some of the light whiskey in that as well. So that's part of what that recipe is. So I don't know whether you can taste some of those components in it when you do your final tasting here, but you should be able to get some subtle space. I don't think they're peated whiskeys, those ones in particular, but you should be able to get a little bit of that barley malt flavor certainly coming over into that.
Well, the way we've done it, to be fair to all brands, is we drink them blind, and then there's a big reveal at the end of the tournament. So we won't know which one we're drinking until the end, but we'll
tip to what you're looking for. You might know it. I don't know.
There you go.
Yeah, that's okay. It's whether it wins or not. It's just the explanation of really what that whiskey is, and it's a gorgeous whiskey. It's nicely balanced, and it's kind of, to me, is the kind of the sweet spot in the blend where I'm going from the base to the rye whiskey, like where it stretches those flavors out that I'm talking and creating the story I'm looking for.
Well, Don, appreciate this Mizunara cask sample. It was delicious. It was everything that I think you would want in like Mizunara. Like we've
Absolutely.
had some experience, and you definitely get a lot of influence in it here, which is obviously great. Like you said, virgin oak Mizunara. So yeah, excellent treat, and really cool that you got your hands on those and you released it.
Yeah. Hopefully you'll see some more things to come. I know I just tipped you what's commercially available, but I do and will know what the next few years is, and there's some really interesting things coming, and then hopefully we can repeat that with some more innovations.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
brilliant.
Let these guys know where they can find you one more time and purchase any of the whiskeys that we discussed
Yeah.
tonight.
So if anybody wants to follow the life of a master blender, I'm on Instagram, X, and LinkedIn at CDN Whiskey Doc. Whiskey in Canada is without an E, so it's CDN Whiskey Doc, Canadian Whiskey Doc. And then if you want to get your hands on a Mizunara, go to jpweisers.com, and you'll see the links to purchase, and we can only ship to an Ontario address. That's the way the laws are. So if you're outside of that, you'll have to find a friend, I guess. Not that I encourage that, but that's really how it can be acquired. Okay.
We'll put those links in the description of this video down below as well, so you can check it out there. And Don, appreciate it. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Cheers.
Yeah. Bye.